All right, we're back. And this is Legacy Build Your Kingdom. I am Rudy Knapp, and I am here to add to this podcast with a little bit of knowledge about apologies. Talked to many people in the last few months here, and the concept of apology is one that is mind blowing. I believe that it is transforming how our kids act. And I also believe that it is something that we're setting up for failure. Everybody has lived this life where they've told when they've done something wrong, their parents or teachers or whoever have told them, say I'm sorry, say I'm sorry. And I think because we've gotten into this concept of I'm sorry, that we think it's acceptable, that words are acceptable. It's quite interesting to think that a genuine apology would come from two little words and that's it. I believe that when you think about an apology, there are different aspects that come with that apology. There's a general sorrow for you actually being sorry for something you've done. And you can't ever say that you have a deep sorrow. I like to call it godly sorrow, as one of the church priests. I'm sorry, not priests, but pastors have told once. You have to have godly sorrow, and it's resonated with me because I believe this concept of godly sorrow means that inside your soul, inside your heart, you feel horrible for hurting someone, for doing something that you shouldn't have done. And when you feel that, when you generally feel that, I believe that people can feel that, feel sorry, but then continue to do it, continue to hurt people. So when you have this godly sorrow inside you, it makes you believe that, hey, I hurt a person that I care about, that I want to do something to fix that. So I think the first part of an apology is to have godly sorrow. And when you do, you're going to want to fix or take care of that mistake that you've made. So I think when you talk about an apology, words do matter. I'm not saying they don't, but they must match an action. So you can say I'm sorry, but there's a couple different components that have to come with that I'm sorry. So let's go back to kindergarten for a second here. We teach our kids in kindergarten, if you did something wrong to someone else in the classroom, just say I'm sorry. See, what we should be teaching our youth and we should be teaching these young ones is to say I'm sorry and continue that conversation. You know, I'm sorry that and take actual ownership. That's an accountability factor. When you actually have to say the words of what you've done wrong, and you do not include this word but that comes in play. I'm sorry, but, and followed up by blaming someone else that does not exist. That is not a genuine apology. So we want to talk about genuine apologies. We need to talk about the concept of how an apology looks. So I'll go backwards again. I'm sorry. We teach our kids, I'm sorry that I stepped on your foot. I'm sorry that I stepped on your foot. I won't do it ever again. I'll be more careful next time. Please forgive me. What can I do to make up for the harm that I caused you or the pain that I caused you? There's an apology. And whatever that child says, okay, that's okay. They accept their apology, or, can you please not do this again? Or can you get a pillow so I can put my foot on top of it? Whatever the case is, you're going to do what it takes to make up for your mistake. Now, that's a simple, easy example that we're talking about. Obviously, those little examples, sometimes when you step on someone's foot, there really isn't much you can do to make up for it, but you can reassure somebody over and over again that I'm going to be more careful and not do it again. That's a genuine mistake. But a lot of times that I'm sorry comes from something that happened directly and that you had a choice to make. I smacked you in the back of the head because you called me a name, or because I felt disrespected, or because you did something that I didn't like. You made that choice to smack somebody in the head. Are you sorry for it? Do you generally have a sorrow, a deeply sorrow for that? So when we go back to this concept of genuine apology, I think that we have to acknowledge what we specifically did wrong. We have to sit back and we have to say to ourselves, hey, I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm going to validate your feelings. I'm going to explain carefully exactly what it is, and without using the word but or giving an excuse. I'm going to offer to fix or repent is what I like to call it, because again, in church, repent, deeply godly sorrow and repent. The repent is to make up for your mistakes. That's what we learn. And so when we say to repair the damage, Sometimes that repent is actually making up for those mistakes and asking whoever it is that you hurt, if it's a relationship, your partner, if it's somebody that you hurt and you didn't want to hurt them and you genuinely are sorry about it. I'm sorry. I will never do this again. I know I made this mistake. I'm not going to give an excuse. I'm not going to say, but you did this first, because now I'm not taking accountability. Now I'm not really sorry for what I did. So the idea has to be this concept that you are going to, again, acknowledge what you've done. You're going to take some responsibility for what you've done, your actions, and you're going to validate their feelings. I feel horrible that you have this hurt, that I've caused this pain to you. I'm going to explain carefully what my behavior was, and I'm not going to give an excuse for it. I'm going to make sure that I talk about this apology as if you understand that I do have this resentment for myself, like for doing this. I'm going to offer to repair it or fix the damages. I'm going to repent. I'm going to promise to change. I'm going to deliver on my promises. And then I'm going to allow them time to forgive me. So you have this idea of what's important when it comes to an apology. So many times, so many examples after examples. I'm sorry, but they want to blame somebody else. I'm sorry, and that's it. There's no repent. There's no making up for it. There's no asking me what you can do to fix it. I'm just stuck in the pain. I believe that if we teach our young children at this young age to understand that there are consequences for their actions, that there are making up for their mistakes, that if they do generally feel horrible for or have empathy for somebody that they caused damage to or pain to, that they're going to go and they're going to make up for their mistake with reassurance. Is one of the most important parts. Reassurance that it will never happen again. Reassurance that you really are sorry. Reassurance that you are taking ownership, that you are going to be accountable for what you've done. We're talking simple, easy examples, but what happens when it's worse than that? What happens when you cheat on your husband, your wife? What happens when you hurt your best friend or you do something horrible to them? What happens when it goes even extent further? Are you deeply sorry? Do you have deep sorrow? Are you somebody that wants to make up for your mistakes? Do you have that in your heart to realize you are the problem, that you are the one that made that mistake, that you are the one that initiated and continued to cause that pain to someone else? I think the biggest issue is people are the action versus reaction. And I've had this conversation many times before, but there is an action and there is a reaction. The kid steps on someone's foot and the reaction is for the kid to push them away or push them down because their foot hurts. The reaction, the person hurts somebody, mentally hurts somebody or abuses somebody or, cheats on their husband, cheats on their wife. And the reaction is to scream and yell at them or punch them or hit them or do something. And the focus becomes on the reaction instead of the action. Now, I'm not condoning any of that stuff. And I know I've been on the receiving end of some of these things and it hurts. I know I've been the reaction that hurts people as well. And I know for a fact that I'm sorry for doing it as well. And I know even though I'm telling you that you should have repent and that you should not do it again and you should say these things, I know I have done them again because the hurt continued on. I think that people have to start looking at this action versus reaction. You are the cause of all of it. A reaction doesn't even exist without your action. And when you decide that this is a reaction, and that reaction is uncalled for, and we understand that, and that person needs to take blame and takes responsibility for their reaction if it's inappropriate. But they do have an option, and they do have this ability to actually have a reaction. If they're caused harm, you have the ability to have a reaction. It's how you conduct yourself. That's your emotions, controlling your emotions. And that's very difficult to do. I'm struggling at myself, being able to handle my emotions because I'm hurt, because I bleed deep, because I give 100% effort, because I'm all in at a lot of things that I do. So when you feel hurt or you feel betrayed or you're disrespected, you're going to fight back. And so it doesn't make it okay for your reaction. Your reaction might need to be more subtle than that. Let's just say that it's a friendship. Then you leave the friendship. Instead of fighting back or arguing or yelling or screaming, calling people names, you leave the relationship. You leave the friendship. That's a better reaction. Because what it does is it holds your dignity and you don't become the monster or the bad guy, that the reaction is going to be the focus. Stop focusing on a reaction when you are the action. You are the one that caused the problem. Take accountability. Your reaction doesn't exist without the action. And that is 100% true. I don't believe any other way than that. I'm not saying two people can't be at fault for something, but when something deliberately happens because of an action, you have to be able to understand that you are the action. You are the one that caused that pain. You have to be godly sorrow and never do it again. You have to have this reassurance that you're never going to do this again. And you have to ask that question again. I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to tell you what I've done wrong. I'm going to continue on and say this concept of, I'm so sorry that it hurts me inside that you're hurting. And I'm never going to do that again because I don't want to hurt you. You're going to take responsibility. You're going to explain exactly what your behavior was. And then you're going to make sure that you don't have a blame or some excuse. You need to make sure that you offer to repair those damages. That's called repent. What can I do to help you with this pain that I've caused? What can I do to repair this relationship? What can I do to make you understand I genuinely care about you and I made a mistake and I'll never do it again? You listen to that person if you truly want to be in their life. If you can't and you walk away from it, then you do, and you have peace with that. But what happens is you have to be able to take on your own accountability for things that you've done. Deliver on your promises. You say you're going to do something, you do it. Don't go back on it, because all that does is show more disrespect, and it shows that you didn't care in general. You didn't care. You weren't sorry. You weren't sorrow. You didn't have sorrow. You didn't repent because you continue to do the same action over and over again. That tells us, or tells anyone, that you shouldn't be in that relationship or that friendship. You need to walk away. You do need to allow time for that person to heal. That person is hurt because of your actions. That person needs to heal. You need to help that person heal. You need to go through that concept of saying, hey, they are healing, and I'm here to support them because I'm the one that caused it. So I talk about this apology in general being a genuine apology because it does happen in every sense of the word. It happens every single day in life. There is somebody that does somebody wrong. There is a lot of things that happen. We have to be able to get a tougher skin as well. As much as I say that this person is responsible and they need to take on these apologies and be thorough, as the person that gets hurt, you have to be able to take on that pain and be able to understand that, give them a chance to be able to. And if you've given them chance after chance, then you need to walk away. But if you can't, or if you are hurt, you have to be able to heal yourself and understand, just because someone else acts in that way, or someone else is acting in a certain way, I should say, then you don't have to act that way back. You have to take control of your emotions. You have to stand back and say, as much as you hurt me, I don't want to hurt you. And that's hard to do. I've failed at it many times, and I have that deep sorrow for it. In the same sense, I always feel like I have a reaction that has existed. That reaction was wrong in a lot of cases. So when I look at this, I've done this in many parts of my life throughout. I just had a confrontation recently with a sporting event with my kids involved. And the problem becomes I am sorry for what I've done. I was wrong on how I reacted. I'm not sorry for what happened. I'm not sorry for standing up for myself. And I'm not sorry for protecting my kid and his teammates. But I am sorry. I'm deeply sorry for the concept of what I said, and I didn't control my emotions. I was hurt and I lashed out. I was a reaction that was wrong. In any case, I have to take accountability for that, and I have to move forward. But when someone shows you that they understand that and they're willing to fix what they did, the action, then you can forgive easily, and you can understand, and you can move forward. So it's until that person that's the original fault, the action, that decides to take a genuine apology and follow these steps, you're never going to be healed from that person. They have to genuinely have to go through this apology, and they have to look at you as they genuinely care about you being hurt. So I say this going forward because please teach your kids, please teach in school. Hopefully teachers follow some of these rules that I've discussed here, because every day that I see this happen with little ones, I see that they think it's acceptable to say, I'm sorry, and that's it. Nothing is acceptable just to say, I'm sorry. There are minor things, and I can understand I'm sorry, but it still should be followed up with an explanation and taking responsibility. We have to teach these kids the right way to apologize. at home, in the schools, and we have to make sure they understand there has to be this internally has to be something that they feel that they're sorry for. A lot of times what happens is they choose these actions and they're not sorry for them because they have this jealousy or they have this anger or they have something that goes on inside that we have to teach them how to control. So if we start at a small level, at the young level, and we start there, hopefully over time we understand the process and then we can get through more conflicts and have less issues with one another. I hope anybody in a relationship takes this advice because realistically, this happens in any relationship, friendship, relationship, father, son, father, daughter, mother, son, anybody, parents. This can happen with girlfriends, boyfriends, it have husbands, doesn't matter. Wives, this is something where we have to start looking at the other person's needs before your own. You made a mistake. Their feelings come first. And if you can do that, you can have a successful relationship in a lot of things because you are going to make mistakes. We are going to mess up. It does happen. It is understandable. But what do you do after that? I tell my students in class all the time, I said, you're going to try problems and you're going to get them wrong. And most students, this is what they do. They try to hide and they try to quickly take their pencil out and change the answer, or they try to erase something because they get the answer told to them out loud and they have their paper in front of them. They're going to really try to change it. I go, what are you trying to convince? Other people that you got it right, or that you're convincing yourself you got it right? Because no one cares if you got it right or wrong. What we care about is, do you know how to get it right or wrong the next time? So what you do after you find out the correct answer is the most important part. Are you paying attention when we're explaining it? Are you focused on trying to fix it? Are you going to make that mistake again? And just like in relationships, we continuously make these same mistakes and we ruin everything. Just like in schools, when we made the same mistake, we don't pay attention to how to fix it. We just keep making the same mistake. Are you somebody that's going to be proactive enough to see the big picture and then not make that mistake again? Not hurt your partner, not hurt your person. Are you somebody that's going to go out there and follow a genuine apology? And if you're in school and it's your education, then it should be an apology to yourself. Okay, I made a mistake. How am I going to fix it? I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that didn't pay attention. I'm the one that decided to not study for the test. I'm the one that didn't practice or do my homework. Take accountability. Apologize to yourself and fix it. Make sure yourself understands that you're reassured that you're not going to do this again and you're going to fix the problem. And then you go fix it. And you stick to your word, your promises, and you allow time for you to understand and actually make this change. And then you forgive yourself and you move forward. Same concept. So hopefully we take this. I want to leave you with this. And this is the most important thing. Ben Franklin once said, never ruin an apology with an excuse. Never ruin an apology with an excuse. Never finish that sentence, I'm sorry, with a but and blame someone else or blame something else or be a victim, because you're not a victim. You are the cause that caused the problem. You are the one that needs to fix it. You are the one that should repent. Godly sorrow and repent. I hope you remember that. I'm going to leave you with this, and I hope that you guys really consider understanding this concept, because even though it seems minor, even though it seems something small, it is huge when we talk about the long haul. We talk about the macro. So one of the big things I've been talking about lately is macro versus micro. Macro, look at the big picture. You want your kids to be those people that understand they're going to make mistakes and they're going to have to be sorry and they're going to have to make up for their mistakes. That's what you want. You don't want your kids to be, I'm sorry, and that's it, and give excuses and be the victim and never take ownership and never take accountability. You want your kids to be those kids that move forward and build relationships up and not tear them down. So I'm going to sign off with that. I am Rudy Knapp. I hope you have a great day. I hope that if you have done somebody wrong, you apologize to them and you are deeply sorrow, or you have deeply sorrow, I should say, and you repent for it. Build that relationship, because relationships is how we get along in life. It's how we continue through life. It's how we live. Everybody needs somebody. So build them up. Build yourself up by becoming a better person and understanding that this is what I need to do if I make mistakes. Signing off.